The government has shown poor fiscal marksmanship in trying to match Singapore's expenditure needs with revenue.
There was no necessity to raise GST from 7% to 9%. The government's $6.4 billion surplus for financial year 2024/25 and the expected $6.8 billion surplus for the next financial year further underlines that there was no necessity to raise GST from 7% to 9%. Let us also not forget that larger surpluses that go into the reserves mean bigger cost burdens on taxpayers when the government collects more than is needed to spend on public programs.
Even if a decision was made to raise it in 2023, there was ample policy space to delay the second increase in 2024 when the country was in the thick of inflation. Why the PAP went headlong and headstrong into raising GST and thereby turbocharging inflation further is something only the PAP itself can answer to Singaporeans. We have seen assurance packages and CDC vouchers dished out to cushion the GST blow for many Singaporeans. But when these handouts stop, as they eventually will, the 9% GST will remain until any subsequent increase the PAP government sees fit to impose. It would not be out of place to ask then, how many Singaporeans would believe the accuracy of a PAP government's projections about the need or the immediate need for future expenditures? The government has shown poor fiscal marksmanship in trying to match Singapore's expenditure needs with revenue. Singaporeans would not be out of place to ask, why is there a need to collect so much money when the government's fiscal projections are so unpredictable, but somehow always so healthy when elections have to be called? While I'm sure the fiscal headroom is politically attractive and even desired by the PAP at the end of the term, notwithstanding its constitutional obligations, it should not underestimate the correlation between this poor marksmanship and potential public cynicism in future when taxes must be increased for legitimate reasons. I anticipate the Finance Minister to reply that all these increases were either down to one-off abnormalities or upsides that could not be anticipated. Even if we accept this, the government's poor fiscal marksmanship raises and strengthens a different argument, and that is that the money set aside for spending can certainly be accounted for in a more institutionalized fashion with greater public scrutiny. Beyond the $800 CDC vouchers and $800 SG60 vouchers, more than a few political watchers noticed PAP MPs thumping their armrests in unison when the Finance Minister announced that climate vouchers worth $400 were being extended to private household dwellers too, a relatively small and generally more well-off segment comprising of about 15% of our population. Reflecting on the cost of living crisis, this enthusiastic gesture was both telling and ironic. Life is very tough for the Singapore that is in the heartland. Concerns over jobs, prices, housing costs, and opportunities continue for many Singaporeans and their households. The numerous vouchers will give us help for a little while, but not for long.
Older Singaporeans may remember the $2.6 billion Progress Package in 2006 and the $3.2 billion Grow and Share Package in 2011 before the general elections in those years. We have gone from growth dividends every few years to CDC vouchers seemingly every year. It would be unhealthy if Singaporeans become increasingly reliant on these ad hoc gifts to manage rising costs.
The ability to always have significant stable funding to tackle short to longer term challenges
and yet able to invest for a better future, and of course still have savings for rainy days is what makes Singapore budgets unique and distinctive. Being prudent has never failed us in our history. It strengthens our financial positions for the longer term and provides insurance against our inherent vulnerabilities. Over the years, the government has stepped up spending in more areas, in particular healthcare and social support spending. They have all increased significantly and will continue to grow. These are commitments that the government made to our people.